And welcome back to All Things Tech. This is Conscious Chat. For more shows like this one, join us at consciouschat.com. Today we have Goldilocks on the line. She's going to be going over The Secret Places of the Lion. That's a book that came out in 1983 by George Hunt Williamson. She's going to be starting off reading some of the text from that book. If you are on the line, I will let you go ahead and just start reading Secret Places of the Lion. We can go over the first part of that book that you're going to be going through.
The sun rising over the back of the lion has always been considered symbolic of power and rulership. The Egyptian priests in many of their ceremonies wore the skins of lions, which were symbols of the great solar orb, owing to the fact that the sun is exalted, dignified, and most fortunately placed in the constellation of Leo the Lion. Among the Egyptians, the sun's rays are often shown ending in the human hand's atong. Masons will find a connection between these hands and the well-known paw of the lion, which raises all things to life with its grip. Anciently, the corona of the sun was shown in the form of a lion's mane, a subtle reminder that the fact that at one time the summer solstice took place in the sign of Leo, the celestial lion. Initiates of the Egyptian mysteries were sometimes called lions or panthers. The lion was the emissary of the sun, symbolizing light, truth, and regeneration. The lion is king of the animal family, and, like the head of each kingdom, is sacred to the sun, whose rays are symbolized by the lion's shaggy mane. The allegory is perpetuated by the mysteries, such as the one to the effect that the lion opens the secret book, signify that the solar power opens the seed pods, releasing the spiritual life within. There was also a curious belief among the ancients that the lion sleeps with his eyes open, and for this reason the animal was chosen as a symbol of vigilance. The figure of a lion placed on either side of the doors and gateways is an emblem of divine guardianship. Therefore, lion figures are erected over buried treasure. To the Egyptian priests, the cat was symbolic of the magnetic forces of nature, and they surrounded themselves with these animals for the sake of the astral fire which emanated from their bodies. Such animals were symbols of eternity, for when they sleep, they curl up into a ball with their head and tail touching. The lion symbolizes secret wisdom. King Solomon was often symbolized as a lion. To overcome this beast is to become a master of such wisdom. It will be remembered that Samson and Hercules both conquered the lion. The lion also represents one of the four corners of creation. When did the lion begin to lurk in the secret places of the earth? To answer this, we would have to go back to a time so remote in this planet's history that it would stagger the human mind. Man has been on Earth far longer than he dare imagine. The earliest records recorded the arrival of radiant beings from heaven. These spiritual creatures were the inhabitants of more majestic and enlightened worlds, but man's ignorance caused him to defy such visitors to the dark red star, planet of sorrow and catalysm. Mercury, the messenger of the gods, Thoth, scribe of the gods, Apollo, god of light, and all the other super beings were early mentors to the people of Earth. Later they became the culture heroes of Lemuria and Atlantis. Man only remembered the great truth they had brought from out of the void. Later these beings incarnated, appeared, and lived as men among men. Many thousands of years ago, in the eastern section of the motherland Lemuria, in a land known as Telos, the first trade ships arrived from the planet Hesperus, Venus. This land is now in the vicinity of the Grand Canyon of Arizona. A prominent student of the mysteries and historian of Mu was exploring remote areas of the backcountry where observers reported that they had seen great ships of light come down out of heaven in the night. The masters and teachers of the people were excited beyond belief, and the great monolithic cities of ancient Mu were in utter confusion, and the population was jubilant. They were rejoicing, for at last the gods had come to dwell among mortals. This had been prophesied for sagas of generations, and at last it had come to pass. The prominent student was known as Lady of the Sun, and had been commissioned by the ruling prince to locate the visitors and welcome them to the land of the children of men. The first thing discovered in the wilderness by the historian were strange footprints in the sand, not unlike those made by the Venusian who walked in the sand near Desert Center, California on November 20th, 1952. Sea flying saucers have landed. The strange symbols in pictograph language told the story of the coming of the star people to Earth. The historian later interpreted these messages to her people, and it was known as the Great Interpretation of the Day the Stars Fell. The woman who was the oldest and most revered historian met the first space visitor to emerge from the craft. She learned he had been sent by the elders of Hesperus to establish trade relations with the people of Mu, to exchange ideas on science, art, literature, and universal truth. The elders felt that the time had come when the people of the earth were prepared for intense visitation from higher worlds. The earth people needed the wisdom and knowledge of their planetary neighbors, and they had proven their right to it by their way of life and their great love of the infinite Father. The first visitor's name was Mark, and with his arrival, the most advanced race on Earth at the time began intercourse with the neighbor Hesperus. This lasted for a short period until evil priesthoods caused the almost total destruction of the motherland, and the great part of her sank beneath the waves into the black depths. The great historian spent much time with the visitors and accumulated many facts which she organized into a set of records preserved on the Lemurian. Imperishable metal, tablets of telonium, and the light from other worlds in time and space made its way into the hearts and souls of the truth-seeking people of Mu. Mark and the Sun Lady erected a memorial over the area where the first light ships had landed. It is still intact, although buried, and will be discovered in years ahead, as Mu rises again from her resting place and meets another dawn of a great age. Its timeless monument will come to light in the present state of Arizona in America. Finally, conditions due to storms, drastic terrain changes, and intense cosmic ray bombardment caused the ruling prince to call in the mentors from Hesperus. He asked for their advice. They told him to gather together all of his people who understood and attempted to live universal truth and follow the great path. The true followers of the infinite spirit were to gather in the giant monument, and memorialize the coming of the Venusians. And they were then to enter great spaceships for the migration to Venus. Those of the left-hand path were to stay on Earth to meet the imminent disaster of their own making.
It's interesting. I mean, this is supposed to be our own history, and every time they talk about Mu, they're talking about star people, ships coming from Venus, gods of Mercury, Thoth, and it's just crazy. Apollo, the god of light. It's interesting, all the Apollo missions, and Apollo means the god of light, That's pretty interesting.
Well, and when was this book written? When was it published? Talking about Mu rising. And that happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I don't know how we find these books sometimes. Talking about how
1983.
Yeah. So just within the past decade, we learned about Mu, and before I ever read this book, and then learned about Mu, and then saw it on news that they had discovered it, and that's where I know of things to begin. That's where my understanding is that that's when the first contact was made.
In Mu?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know of any. I don't know of any history. Yeah, preceding that. Mm-hmm. I mean, if that's the farthest back that we see that our history goes, then wouldn't where the Garden of Eden comes from.
They were followers of the infinite truth. They were the ones that followed the infinite truth were taken from this planet, and those who followed the left-handed, and as they called it the left, because they're left, it's no good, right? Left-minded, they stayed for the imminent destruction.
Yeah, it's interesting. This book, Secret Places of the Lion, was published in 1983, and they put it in Occult Sciences.
Thank you for listening to All Things Tech. This is Conscious Chat. Hear more at www.consciouschat.com. Again, thank you for listening to All Things Tech.